Hi, hello, and welcome. We get another expat. This is episode 93, recording with a safe distance from the microphone, live in Berlin on a Sunday, the 2nd of May 2026. We just had the 2 warmest days of the year, I believe. And I have to say, I'm ready. I'm ready for the summer. Bring it on, Berlin. And what better way to start preparing for the summer and get a nice glimpse of what that life can look like than the 1st of May celebrations. Now, for the record, all the previous Mays I happen to be in Greece. Greece is great in May. It's not as hot as the heart of the summer. It's not as crowded as the heart of the summer. So May and September are 2 of my favorite months to visit. But it was my first time to see 1st of May in Berlin, and my partner insisted that we go out to join the celebrations and the party that's going on in the streets, so I get a glimpse and a taste of how the city wakes up. And let me tell you, the city really wakes up. Now, I did a bit of reading, and it looks like the 1st of May was an optional public holiday in Greece, which meant that the public services were out and anyone else did whatever they wanted. But in 2017, during the ruling of the one left government that ruled Greece once, it looks like they turned 1st of May a public holiday, mandatory for everyone. So a big clap for that. It's also a mandatory public holiday in Germany, and this is why everyone gets on the streets. I'm not sure how much protesting happened in Germany on the 1st of May, unless dancing techno, smoking joints, drinking prosecco, and partying count as a form of a demonstration. But this is what happened. We went out on the streets. I'm not gonna keep going around it. The streets are crazy. It's a big welcome summer celebration. This is how it felt to me. Everyone is like, we're at the gates of summer. It's a super warm day, so that was fortunate. And then people flooded the streets. I cannot understand where all these people come from. I've never seen so many people everywhere. You know, have you ever been to a football match or something like that? And as you get closer, you get into these rivers of people, like flows and waves of people just walking. It was like that, but everywhere. And so we joined one of the parks that had a small party going on every 10-15 meters, and all together a bigger party. And there was a kids' corner there. Someone forwarded us. I'm part of all the parents groups now, and, events are flowing in there. So there was a kids' event for the day, which was a part of the park that was a bit more reserved for families. Not by anyone, I think just by self-organizing. So that was really, really nice. We managed to stay there for some hours, but slowly things were getting busier and louder and more intense, and it was only a matter of time that the crowds would slowly overtake that whole kids' corner. More and more aspiring DJs were setting up our little tables with their little speakers and their little DJ thing, and their 10 to 15 friends showing up. But I had a good time. Our son had a great time. He's now walking around, holding our fingers. But he's such a social creature. He was literally going on every group of people, just looking at them. And then if they smile at him or if they make any sort of facial expressions, he knows how to charm. He knows how to look and smile and then look away and do all this social teasing. And he enjoys getting reactions out of strangers, like facial reactions and smiles and the attention. So he's a little social manipulator. He just walks around with his cuteness and starts staring at people until they give him something back. So this is what we did, walking across all the different groups of people, different groups of kids, toys, balloons. It was just so much information. And dogs. He loves dogs now. He's always very enthusiastic around them, but also very reserved. And when he manages to touch one, he's very shy. He doesn't, some kids go all in. He's the opposite. And if he gets brave enough to touch a dog, then he starts giggling and trying to go away in, shyness. But I get it. A dog is higher than him many, many times. Have you ever stood next to a horse, and they look so calm and magnificent, but it's still so freaking terrifying to be next to an animal that's higher than you. Now, take that, add crazy hair and fur in it, add sharp teeth, and then add quick moves, or, dogs can be more agile than a horse. So I get him. I think for his age, he is ridiculously brave to go next to these doggos and try to meet them. But we did the 1st of May, and I think the vibe changes around the city. I saw some videos from the Gorlice Park, and it sounded like things were a bit more rough there, or a bit more dry sun, techno beer, and nothing else. In that huge park we were, I felt there were more pockets of different things going on, and just seeing people enjoy themselves, wearing their summer outfits and having a good time and laughing around. That is like seeing it in scale. You see so many people just enjoying the time and the weather, and it's a Friday, so you also have the weekend ahead. Oh, that was pure joy. Now, I wouldn't say it was the easiest to have a baby there, and especially when we needed to sleep him, I was brave enough to try and do it in the stroller, in the kinderwagen, but there was nowhere to go. There are so many people everywhere that you can never get to a quiet place. The crowds just keep arriving and setting up. So it was a bit like a video game where I was trying to get the stroller somewhere safe, avoid the music, avoid the loudness, avoid the rivers of people. And I found one quiet spot, like 40 meters distance. I started going back and forth, and there was a group of young guys setting up yet another DIY DJ techno booth. So the clock was ticking for me. I knew at some point they're gonna connect everything and start it, but they were taking their time, and this was good enough for me to bring him to sleep, and once he is asleep, things are easier. But since I started now saying baby things, I'll give you a few more. We are at a phase where we have him, if you're not a parent, you've never noticed this, but whenever you see someone with a baby stroller, the baby is either facing them or it is facing the world. And I don't know when people do this change. We were told that him facing the world can be a bit too much, too scary, too intense, so much information coming in and not having a visual anchor of something safe. I feel recently he's so interested to look around and see what's happening and all of that turning the stroller around and having him face the world and not face us is where things seem to naturally be going. So this is yet another milestone that no one knew existed before realizing. And will he be ready to just face the world? Will he ever be ready? It's almost an existential question, so we'll just turn around the stroller and see what happens. But a tiny bit more on the exploration phase and where we are. 15 months in, he's almost walking. He needs 2 fingers to walk. He grabs them and he goes around. I would say it's probably one of the cutest phases. I don't know what comes next when he can walk, and reach everything. I feel I will have a bit more of a relaxed time because now every time he wants to go somewhere, he needs to be holding hands. But I also know that this is when the stories start, that you blink once and then the child is, in Ibiza. So I don't know what the future will hold. But what I know now is that he's getting more and more brave with this walking, holding the hand. We go to this cafe and we used to walk inside of it, but now he's determined to open the door and go out on the street. And this was so funny. He points at the door and he grabs my hand, and then we leave everything in the cafe and he just steps out in the pavement. He looks around him, sees the world, and then he just starts marching so excitedly. And we used to walk for a long time inside the store. This is a new thing that he's now ready to take it to the streets. It felt a little bit like the Truman Show when he's, at the end of the movie when he's escaping the whole thing. But not only Truman Show meets Forrest Gump, because he was so excited, almost delirious, just walking crazy, exploring the outside world where everything is accessible, the people and the dogs and whatnot. So this is where we are. The other day, I put him down facing his mom, and he tried to get there, and he's able to do 4 to 8 steps before he collapses in her arms. But he's still too afraid to do it on his own, and it only works if I point him towards my partner, and then he walks to her. If she then points him towards me, and I start saying, "Come here, buddy," and all of this, he doesn't walk. So walking for now is walking without holding hands. Only does it as an emergency landing to go find mama. But this is where things are on that front. And then I just want to give this update on food, because at 15 months in, I feel we're now experiencing the shift that happens to many kids. We were afraid of it. I hope it doesn't come, but I see signs. And the shift is, at some point, kids realize that the best thing in life is pasta, okay? And let's face it, pasta is one of the joys of life. But every child, almost, that I know, had this big phase of being only pasta fed. Like nothing else is good enough. I just want pasta, pasta, pasta forever. And my younger brother was like that for a big chunk of his life, and I know it happens. And I think it might be around the corner. And we've tried really hard to introduce different foods, different consistencies. And my partner might disagree, but I think compared to where I had put the bar, I think he's tried a lot of different foods. But now he seems to slowly but surely start only wanting pasta, to the extent that he's pointing at unboiled pasta that sits in glass containers in our kitchen, and then he's demanding that we boil it so he can eat it. The other day he had pasta for breakfast and pasta for lunch. So I'm afraid it's happening. It's a low phase of kids. They all go in it. Like Picasso had the blue period, and every child has the pasta period. It could last from weeks to months to years. Maybe it's inevitable. I almost believe that it is. So let's see how that goes. I have a few random things I want to share, 3 to be precise. The first one is, in the previous episode, I was saying how I understand church and meditation, or these places where they force you to just sit there without a phone and it's just you and your thoughts in your head. And I can see the value of that if you take away all the other layers of the wrapping. And I saw this article the other day about a church in the Netherlands, a historic church in Amsterdam. It looked very beautiful. It's opening the doors for 300 people to join a no-phone event. And it's full of tables for reading, journaling, people do their crafts, painting, writing things down. It's quiet, it has a live piano and a vinyl DJ. And you just go in the church for 3 hours in this no-phone event. You bring whatever it is you want to bring, and then you just sit there and do it. What a great idea. It's done by an initiative called the Offline Club. I'm not affiliated with them, but I am promoting it. I have a few people in the Netherlands that are listening to this podcast. So I think they do it on Tuesdays. The next one is on May 12th. Watch 300 people without any of them touching their phone. That itself might be so bizarre. Sometimes I'm on the train and I look around to see how many people are on their phones. And you don't do it often because you're also on your phone. So it feels like normality. But if you just put your phone down and look around, it's a pretty daunting spectacle. So this is the one thing I wanted to share. Next up, I was very entertained by this. In case you don't know, the way that the website endings work, the TLDs, or however else they're called, the domain names, they get also assigned to different countries. I'm sure you know it by now, and then some very tiny countries have become a bit famous for having things like TO from, is it Tonga? And VU from Vanuatu, because every single country has its own domain name ending, and they can sell it as they wish. Now, in 1995, Anguilla, a tiny island, it is close to Puerto Rico, it's owned by Britain, but in 1995 they decided that they're gonna get the .ai domain ending. And for 30 years nobody cared. They were making a few thousand every month from the domain names. But since the last 3 years, the domain AI has exploded, and currently there are 2,000 new AI domain registrations happening every day. So the revenue that this tiny island was having jumped from 50K a month to an estimated 4 million per month right now. And it grew so big that it now accounts for nearly half of Anguilla's entire national budget. So basically they get insanely rich by pure chance. And the country is having a great time. They have lowered taxes for everyone. They rolled out free healthcare for kids. And they're building a brand new international airport. Because why not? So yeah, turns out a tiny Caribbean island is accidentally one of the biggest beneficiaries of the AI boom. And I love that piece of news. The first comment said, a poor island country with few natural resources gets a bit of money for the first time and immediately starts working on universal healthcare. Meanwhile, the richest country in the world still can't quite figure it out. So good job, Anguilla, for grabbing that domain in 1995. Now, the last piece of news I want to share is again on the AI world. I shared in the last episode how I've started prompt coding or vibe coding a bit more. I do it with Claude. And I'm building a ton of silly, stupid, small or not so small things. And you know what? I will use this podcast to tell you what it is that I'm working on each time. And likely I will put links so you can check all the silly things I'm working on. In the previous episode, I released the fair German Google reviews. A small reminder for that one. In Germany, the companies can sue Google and take down one-star reviews. They do it systematically. There is a defamation law that they can call upon. But it's crazy because they abuse it so much. There are literally companies that help businesses remove bad reviews by exploiting that law. And 99.97% of EU defamation actions all come from Germany. So it's a super heavily abused law, but it makes any business owner on Google always look good because they remove the bad reviews. And Google made that change. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but now they display the number of reviews they had to remove because of legal action. So that gives you an indicator of how many times businesses have gone through this process to remove bad reviews, and I made a Google extension that will count those back in. So when you're looking at a German place in Google Maps and you see its rating, if you have my extension, you will then see an adjusted rating right next to it that says, hey, given of all the removed reviews that this place has, the real rating is likely this one. Now, this was last week, but now it's a new week. So a new project is also out, a second Chrome extension, and that is called Tab Noodle. It was born out of pure necessity of myself. I have two screens, I have a lot of open windows, and I have a lot of open tabs. So sometimes I just can't bother. I need a nice system to help me close down some tabs safely. And this is what this extension is doing. It's an extension designed to help you clear your tabs, group them nicely, put them all in one window, auto-categorize them, and auto-clean them. And the auto-clean has an aggressiveness score. You can decide how aggressive you want to be. It always knows if you have any media playing. So if you have a YouTube video, you're watching something. So it keeps that, but then will park the rest of the things you might have sitting there waiting. And yeah, I even built a swipe mode that resembles Tinder, where it will quickly show you all the tabs you're having, and you can click the arrows left or right to basically keep them or shoot them out, which I find very funny. I use this swipe mode very often. It can also auto-group your tabs. And if you don't know, in Chrome, you can have groups and your tabs can be in them. And the groups can have names and colors, which can make life really, really nice. So this is Tab Noodle. It's there on Google Chrome extension store. I need to put it also on the Firefox extension store. It's tab like the tabs and noodle like the pasta that my son loves eating, all together in one word. And yeah, it's very, very useful. And a public apology to my girlfriend who did the first beta testing. She is a tab hoarder. I will not get more into it. But there was a mode in the review tabs or the swipe mode where it would purge what you've done without letting you go back. And I fixed it since then, so you can always go back. You can bring back your tabs, and it helped me make it more nice and clean. So thank her very much, and go check Tab Noodle on Chrome extension, because why not? And these are my 2 creations so far. I will share if I bring more things publicly out in the world. And with this, I just want to thank you for listening to another episode of this. And you know what? I want you to thank yourself for putting a podcast on instead of doing something more brain-deprecating like walking around in your house while watching reels, trying to do chores with the tiny bit of your brain that's left and to one hand because the rest is absorbed in your phone. Thanks for taking the time to tune in to thoughts and words. This is good for you, and I'm happy that I was chosen to be your companion. Okay, I'll stop kissing your asses now and go back into doing things, likely cooking some pasta for our baby. This was me, and I will see you all next week for the next episode. Until then, have a good one. Ciao!